Okay, welcome back to my 32 and 32. I'm now going to talk about the Los Angeles Kings. So last season, the Kings finished with 47 wins, 25 losses, and 10 overtime losses slash shootout losses for a grand total of 104 points, finishing third in their Pacific Division. And the last time they missed the playoffs was in the 2021 season when they had all the realignment due to the COVID crisis. So they haven't really brought any big names in when it comes to their off-season free agencies. But they did acquire goaltender Cam Talbot. He last played for the Ottawa Senators. They brought back Trevor Lewis, who won the Cup back in 2014 and 2012, I do believe, with the Kings. And they've also signed Derek England, who spent last season between, I think, Chicago and Colorado. Other than that, it's just been basically re-signing players that are on two-way contracts, AHL, more than anything. And, so now we'll take a look at their roster, and we'll see who's still signed, who has yet to sign, and who signed elsewhere. But before I do that, just like I always do with other videos, I like to display the home jersey and the reverse retro. And I got to say, I kind of like this one. This is obviously when they first came back in the league in 1967. They rocked the old crown, which you can see displayed on the jersey, and their first colors were actually purple and gold. They didn't transfer over to like the silver and gray and black until like the late 80s. So they rocked that for quite some time. And I just want to quickly go over a couple of their jerseys that they've worn this past season, and we'll go from there. So this is their alternate, which is like gray and black. I think they've had this jersey for a few seasons now. This is kind of like it could be an away or it could be a home because it's in that gray area where you can really rock that jersey at home or, like I said, at a different arena as well. This one here is an homage to, like I said, their 80s/90s era when they had that Los Angeles Kings logo. This kind of reminds me of like the Gretzky era. And the thing I like about this one is you have the chrome helmet. You also have the chrome on the sleeve of the jersey and around the knee as well. So very unique, to say the least. So without further ado, I'll take a look at their rosters, and we'll go from there. So I'll take a look at their goaltending tandem right now, but I just want to make sure that this is somewhat focused. Here we go. So last season they did trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets for Joonas Korpisalo. He has now signed with the Ottawa Senators, and Phoenix Copley was pretty much their backup at last year, and his contract did expire, but he is signed for this upcoming season at 1.5 mil. So between him and I will discuss between him and Talbot, that will be the goaltending tandem moving forward. Let's take a look at their players. So Mikey Anderson, I believe, has re-signed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he has re-signed for 8 years at 4.125, so he's sticking around. Jarrett Anderson Dolan's contract expired, but he has re-signed to a 1-year contract. Victor Arvidsson has 1 year left to go on his deal, as does Quinton Byfield. Philippe Deneau has 4 more years left to go on his contract, as does Drew Doughty. Sean Durzi has been traded to the Arizona Coyotes, so he's no longer a member. Alex Edler has yet to re-sign. Again, his future could be up in the air. Maybe he's even going to contemplate retiring, but only time will tell. Kevin Fiala, the big trade they made last offseason, has 6 more years left to go on his contract. Vladislav Garikov came over with Joonas Korpisalo in that trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he's also re-signed as well. Carl Grundstrom has 1 more year left to go on his contract. Alex Iafallo, I'm pretty sure he's been traded because that was part of that big trade with the Winnipeg Jets. He's been traded to the Winnipeg Jets, as I previously just mentioned. Arthur Kalikev, he has 1 more left to go on his contract. Adrian Kempe has 3 more years left to go on his deal. Anze Kopitar is coming into his last year of his contract, but he actually has signed a 2-year extension, so I guarantee he's going to retire as a Los Angeles King. Rasmus Kupari, I believe, was part of that trade for the Kings as well. Blake Lizotte, I'm pretty sure he's been traded. I'm pretty sure, it was Kupari, Lizotte, and if I'm not mistaken, Iafallo that were signed are traded. Zach McEwen, as of now, has signed with the Ottawa Senators. Trevor Moore's contract did expire this past season, but he has re-signed for 5 more years at 4.2 mil. Matt Roy has 1 more year left to go on his contract, and Gabe Vilardi. See, now I'm getting a little confused because I thought he was part of that trade as well. I got to double check this. One of those 3 players is still sticking around, but I know there was 3 players that were traded to the Jets. Sean Walker is coming on to the last year of his contract. So I should have mentioned when I was talking about the signings that they had in the offseason that Philippe Dubois from the Winnipeg Jets is now a member of the Los Angeles Kings. And as I mentioned previously, there's at least 3 of those players that I thought were part of the trade. I'm sure one of them's still sticking around LA, but I do recall that there was at least 3 people that were traded from the Kings to the Winnipeg Jets. So now let's go back to their logos, and I'll discuss what they should do or how they should do with this upcoming year. Okay, so I got the logos back on the screen. Fantastic. So for the 2023-2024 campaign, the Kings should be almost as good. The only question I would say is when it comes to the goaltending, do you really put all your faith in Talbot or Phoenix Copley? That's the only question mark I have going forward. But when it comes to their forward and their defensive depth, there's no questioning of how talented they are on both sides of said spectrum, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I believe they should finish at least in the top 3 spot. At worst, maybe a wild card spot. Again, it's going to come down to, can you rely on Talbot to play this many games, and can you rely on Phoenix Copley to play that many games throughout your season? Because I'm sure fatigue and injury could play a factor, so maybe you have to get a third goaltender to come up that you call up from the AHL, or maybe you make a trade during the season. But like I said, when it comes, that's the only question mark I would have when it comes to the Los Angeles Kings for this upcoming season. But they should make an appearance in next year's playoffs. As always, thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time, take care.